Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the fourth time. My name's Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Ella.
Hello.
Hello. I've returned from Sweden. I'm
Woo!
back. Yay.
You're
Um,
back.
I'm back, briefly. This
Mm.
time tomorrow, I will be on a plane to British Columbia, so...
It's a little visit.
Yeah, briefly, I get to sleep in my own bed for 2 nights before going back. But yeah, we'll talk about the Leafs, I guess. Sorry, I go to Sweden one time and I come back and the Leafs are in a three game win streak. On the road, which is notoriously to start the season, they've been absolutely terrible on the road. Now they're not. And but those were good wins.
Mm. I'm happy. I'm loving it.
I think it's different. Right now feels different than where we were sitting the last time the Leafs strung together 3 wins, which was one of the games was that crazy nutso comeback game against Pittsburgh, which never that doesn't as fun as that is to watch as a fan, that doesn't exactly leave you feeling satisfied.
No.
Because you watch the first 2 periods of that game and you're like, this team sucks. They're terrible. And then you watch the last period and that's the only period that makes you feel good, but you can't help but remember the first 2 periods where you're like, hey, so this is an issue.
It still happened.
And then I think the only good game out of that 3-game win streak, then the Leafs went on to lose quite a few games in a row following that, was the game against Utah, which Utah is a fairly good team. Don't ask me where they are in the standings because I don't know. But they're a fairly good team, and I think to get a good win against a team like that does make you feel good. And I think that's kind of what happened on this road trip here, where now some teams are stronger than others that they played against. But they were just better wins. They were wins where the Leafs were winning by multiple goals. I think Pittsburgh was 5-2, Florida was 4-1, and then last night against Carolina was 5-1, 4-1, I should say, not 5-1. No, they never got the empty netter, did they? I don't think they did. Did they get the empty netter? I think they did. Yes, they did, because it was Bobby McMahon. And I was like, oh my God, Bobby McMahon 2-goal game. So they did get, it was 5-1, the final score. And those are solid wins, right? They're just good. There was more things where you could say, hey, this is a team that's starting to play better, that's starting to play more connected. Some of the things that are still that were concerns at the start of the season have been concerns for the first 27 games the Leafs have played, because that's where we are right now, is 27 games in already. But they're still kind of there. Some of the there are some shifts where they just get hemmed in their own zone for way too long, and that's an issue. But it's happening less and less. It used to happen constantly, and also as well as it's not so much as an automatic you watch it and you watch the Leafs get hemmed in their own zone on extended shifts and you're like, okay, it's just a matter of time before the other team scores, because the Leafs weren't doing a good job of keeping opposition to the outside when they were stuck in their own zone, where it's they were better at doing that, at least against Carolina, for sure. I mean, there was still Easton Cowan clocked a 2:42 shift against Carolina last night, which is nothing for Easton Cowan, who probably played shifts way longer than that with the London Knights, because Dale Hunter was his coach and he was one of Dale Hunter's favorite boys. So that's the one thing that I the OHL doesn't have, at least last season didn't have ice time tracking, which is unfortunate, or at least as a public stat. Maybe individual teams did it, but didn't have it as a public stat, which is unfortunate, because to see the shift times of some of those Easton Cowan shifts, or some of those Oliver Bonk shifts, or what shift lengths Sam Dickinson was clocking. I'd love to know. because sometimes they would be like 5 minutes long. So, or at least it would feel that way. But they still managed to, figure it out. And like, again, offense was never the issue with the Leafs. I think that was such a narrative that people tried to concoct around this team, that they weren't scoring because they were losing, right? So it's like you think, oh, if my team's losing, it's because they're not scoring. No, it's just they were just getting outscored. Which, yeah. Wow, that's how like hockey games get won. But like,
Yeah.
we're seeing more offense coming from the bottom six now. That third line of, what is it, McMahon, Nick Waugh, and Dakota Joshua, they figured themselves out.
Oh yeah.
Like, there is big performances coming from that line. I mean, Bob McMahon had a 2-goal night last night, but like, I think going into last night's game against Carolina, the broadcast was talking about how they have like 9 points in the last 3 games or something, which is huge. And like,
Huge.
Yeah, okay, the team's still scoring, but like, you do want offense coming from further down your lineup, because just in case if the top guys are having an off night, you still want to be able to score goals. Like, you don't want to rely solely on like William Nylander and Austin Matthews, because you're gonna get stuck up a creek without a paddle if one of those guys is hurt. So, and I mean, Bobby McMahon, like, he always has been kind of a streaky guy when it comes to his scoring. Like, he will have periods of time where he's lights out and he looks incredible, and sometimes where he just doesn't score for a while. And we saw that last season and to start this season. But I think, that line right now is clicking. They know what they're meant to do. I really like that line too. That is a big line. Heavy hitters, right?
Yeah.
And I think, one of our things that we've said about Bobby McMahon is like, if he can just like remember the fact that he's however big he is, I don't know how tall, how big he is. The fact that he's a big guy, a big fast guy. Dakota Joshua, who I think was one of the, if he didn't have to miss so much time last season because of his cancer diagnosis, probably would have been up there with Kiefer Sherwood in hits for forwards in the league last year, but he has led that category in the past, is known as a heavy hitter, I should say. And Nick Waugh, who's a big guy who wins a lot of board battles and is a heavy forward checker, I think then, you kind of rub off on each other, and that line can, develop an identity as they get more and more games together, hopefully. I mean, it seems like they will. That it seems like at least the forward group, like the lines have kind of stabilized now, which has been pretty good. I mean, Craig Berube will also be like the first guy to start line shuffling guys around and putting Cowan out there with Matthews if he feels needs to, and things like that. So it's the blue line where we have concerns. It's one of those things where it's like, Troy Stecher has come in. He was claimed from the Edmonton Oilers off waivers. He has come in and has, like, you thought, okay, he's going to be whatever, like a 6th, 7th defenseman. He's just coming because you need to fill a hole with Chris Tanev and Brandon Carlo still out. Like, you just need a body. You need a right shot. He's a right shot. Perfect. And he has skyrocketed. Like, he's now on the second pairing with, I believe he's playing with Jake McCabe now pretty regularly. Icing like 23, 24 minutes a night, and is doing really well and is fitting in with the team really well. And like, I think it's great. I think that was like one of the more solid waiver pickups we've seen from the Leafs in like quite a long time. Like, I can't even think of a guy that they've, also as well, like all the good waiver guys, like the good guys who then get unfortunately put on waivers, used to never make it to the Leafs in the standings order for quite a while, right? But now Leafs are near the bottom of the standings, so it kind of works in their favor a little bit that they were able to pick up a guy like Troy Stecher. But man, I love Troy Stecher. Like, love what he does. He's a little bit of a smaller guy, which makes him an odd, you know what I mean? Like, he's 5'10", which is smaller in stature for a defenseman, which is why I think had the Leafs not been kind of backed into the corner and needed a right shot desperately because they were losing Carlo and Tanev, who are both, I think Chris Tanev is a right shot. Because they were losing both those guys like to injury, they were kind of backed into a corner that it didn't leave Brad Treliving with a lot of options. So then he had to go for like, but I think it also just shows that you don't necessarily need all of your defensemen to be 6 feet plus.
No.
Which has been my issue with Toronto for a while. Or at least my issue with Brad Treliving specifically and like the NHL as a whole, and the way that it's like, oh, you're not 6 feet tall, automatically we're going to put you at a disadvantage, not because it affects your skill level. We're just like not going to draft you. It was my issue. Like there was a lot of like really good players that just went like too far deep in the draft because like they weren't 6 feet tall, which I think is so stupid. And it's not even like, oh, well, they're like 5'7". No, it's like they're 5'10" and a half. Right? And you're like, you just sit there and you're like, so, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, mate.
But anyways, yeah, Troy Stecher, been great. He's like, it's really funny though, because it just shows like the blue line that Toronto was working before really lacked a puck mover, because Troy Stecher's come in and like you could see it in the first couple of games that he played where you're like, wow, this guy's amazing, and it's Troy Stecher.
Yeah.
It's like it was like when you're watching, when you watch a preseason game and you're like, wow, this guy's amazing, and it's like the only NHLer on the roster. Who is this guy? And it's some third liner. Wow, this guy's amazing. Who is it? David Camp.
Oh, dear.
Right? And like that's kind of what it was like with like seeing Troy Stecher, where it's like, wow, like the puck, this guy's ability as a puck mover is incredible. Who is it? Troy Stecher. Nothing against Troy Stecher, but like the ultimate journeyman is Troy Stecher. He's played for 7 different NHL teams in his 10-year career. There was like 3 straight seasons where he was traded at the deadline. He's moved around a lot, but he's also like, he's one of those guys, and this is, where I think you need guys where like, they may not have the highest ceiling, but the space between like what their floor is and what their ceiling is really small. So it's like guys who, day in, day out, like every game, 82 games a year, what you're going to get from these guys, and you can predict on it. You're like, okay, so, you're going to go out and you're going to do this. It may not be the flashiest thing. It may not be the highest like skill, like the most highlight reel worthy stuff, but okay, this guy's going to go out there and this is what he's going to do. And we can rely on that. And sort of, if we're backed into a corner and we just need something predictable, we put him out. And that's what Troy Stecher is. That's what he was for the Oilers last year, especially in their playoff run. He was a guy who came in and just did his job and got to work, and he does his job well. And paid, and I guess not really well. Did it pay off for the other choice? They did make another deep playoff run. They didn't win the cup, but like, kind of shows that it's now paying off for the Leafs as well, because he's producing offense. He produced offense in the game last night. He's produced offense since he's come to Toronto, and he's getting serious minutes. So, I mean, I love him. I love him. I think it's great. He seems like he's fitting into the locker room well, which is great. I think he scored the other night, like just like little things like that, where it's like, for a guy who had come in as sort of like not a waiver pickup, and you're like, oh, he may be around for a couple games until, you get some guys back from injury or whatever, you just need a right shot. And now like he's kind of becoming a really solid part of the Leafs lineup, to the point where it's like, I'm stealing a little bit of a conversation from, I was listening to an episode of Steve Dangle podcast yesterday on the plane. So that's why I'm like, this conversation is at the top of my mind where I say this, where it's like, if you need to, because the Leafs don't have a lot of capital to spend at the deadline. There's obviously moves that this team still needs to make. I think addressing a real true first line right winger, because it's not Max Domi. I think that's obvious. Easton Cowan, potentially. I think it's one of those things where it's you can put him there in certain situations, certain games against certain opponents, but like, and he's getting trusted now more than Craig Berube. Like before he went down to the AHL, my big thing where like why I was okay with him getting sent down was like he was not getting trusted by Craig Berube. He was not playing in third periods. He was not getting high leverage moments. He's getting more trust now in the lineup, which is great. I just think sometimes it's like this is a 20-year-old kid in his first year of pro hockey. Like,
yeah,
he's doing pretty well, all things considered, right? For like what the expectations were of Easton Cowan going into the season, which like making the roster out of camp to start the season and maybe play 9-10 games was a long shot. That was a long shot back in August. Yeah. So here we are, first week of December, and it's like, no, like he potentially could play on the top line right wing and Mitch Marner's old spot, but like you do need a true guy who can be there, right? You need, I'm not saying you go back out and get another Mitch Marner, but like I'm just saying you need an actual like first line right winger. That's what you need. And like the Leafs don't have any capital to spend, at least when it comes to picks or prospects they'd be willing to part with, especially with the way the last deadline went, where they lost they traded away 2 first-round picks and 2 prospects who are playing in the NHL regularly, like every night, and have been since October. So I think that you have to, and Elliot Friedman has spoken about this on Saturday headlines on Hockey Night in Canada multiple times. The Leafs are looking to make moves. They're looking for something to change. Maybe not so, like maybe that isn't as much of an urgency now that they're heading back home after a road trip that included a 3-win win streak, and like it was a pretty good road trip, all things considered. It was a pretty good road trip. Like now they're heading back home, you know, and I mean, there was a couple disappointing games on that road trip. Montreal was not a great game. It was a terrible game. It's like one of those things where it's like it's Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada, Leafs versus Montreal versus the Habs. You're in Montreal, you're in the Bell Center, and you show up and you give that performance. Embarrassing. Embarrassing.
So bad.
That's an embarrassing performance. I don't care how good the Habs may be this season. Like, it's one of those things where it's like you know what the game is, and yeah, okay, it's a game in November, but like there are certain games on the calendar where you circle them and you say we're gonna show up. I mean, tomorrow's game in Toronto is going to be Habs versus Leafs, Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada. You're gonna want the guys to stand up for it. Like, you know, Montreal is going to come into that building ready to go because of what that rivalry means. So I think, you know, there was a couple disappointing games on this road trip. I mean, that loss against Washington where they had the lead for most of the game, or at least even were tied and lost the game in the last, 4 or 5 minutes is a little bit upsetting, especially because it was like you were doing pretty well against a team that's, you know, playing pretty well as Washington. But the Columbus game that I think I fell asleep during the third period of that one. Schedule aside, I actually also have to like flip my camera over even to see. That was way too close to my mouth. Hold on. I have my mic sits on my camera, my calendar. So I gotta flip it over to December just to see. Yeah, so it's Montreal on Saturday, Hockey Night in Canada. That's a big game. And then you got Tampa on Monday. Like they play the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games at home. Big stretch at home on the schedule. But, you know, you're playing then Montreal, Tampa, who's been a very good team this season, despite the players they've lost to injury and stuff. Then San Jose, which San Jose is they're tied for a wild card spot right now,
which is insane,
which is nuts. But it also shows you kind of like the rebuild has worked for them because you did not expect them at this point in the year. We're past American Thanksgiving, so the standings become a little bit more real. You're past American Thanksgiving, and for a team that people didn't expect them to really start becoming a playoff conversation, it's them in Chicago, really, who you also play in this home stretch. You play like they're a couple years ahead of like where everyone expected them to be. There's still pieces missing, obviously. It's still a very young team, obviously, but like players who you probably expected to potentially go back to junior, like Michael Misa and Sam Dickinson were two players where I was like, they may start the season with San Jose. They may get 9 games. Then they're going to be sent back to Saginaw and London. And it's going to be really exciting to watch them at World Juniors. Now here's the problem. As much fun as it is to watch these players do really well in the NHL, they're in the NHL. And they're not with their junior teams. So it makes teams like the Sharks really good because these are really talented players. They just also happen to be young players, which I think a lot of people tend to not put as much stock and value in, which just makes sense. They are players who will make young player mistakes, but like, and the same thing can go for Chicago with Bedard, but like Macklin Celebrini has a fire lit under his ass. And you can say it like, yeah, and it's obvious how come. The Olympics are coming up soon, quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Fast approaching at a rate that makes me nervous because we still don't have a hockey arena. But he's playing really well. Bedard's playing really well in this. You play Tampa, who's a very good team. You play San Jose, who is having an above expected performance this season. You play Edmonton, who is having as a rough start to the season as the Leafs are. Like a lot of people are right now, or at least in Canadian media, it's a lot of this focus about like, hey, so the Leafs are in trouble. No one's paying attention to the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers are going through the same issues that the Leafs are right now. Yes, they put up a dominant 9-3 win over who were they playing last night? I want to say it was Dallas. Seattle. 9-4 win against Seattle last night. But they're still outside of a playoff position. They're still having the same issues that the Leafs are facing, and no one's talking about it. And I'd argue some of Edmonton's issues are harder to solve than Toronto's. Such as, the goaltending issue. I'd argue that's a much harder job to solve than what Toronto's got going on.
Yeah, it's quite a significant issue.
Yeah. Toronto and Edmonton are tied for points right now. At 29. But Edmonton has played a game more than Toronto has at the moment. So that's another interesting game. Another Saturday night matchup, I will say. And then you play Chicago. And Connor Bedard is another player like Macklin Celebrini who has a fire lit under his ass because of the Olympics, and he's playing like it. He's playing lights out. He leads the teams in points by a considerable margin. He is by far the best player on his team this season, and it's not even close to the comparable. He is. People were talking all last season about a sophomore slump. There is no slumping here this season so far for like people are starting to say like, is Connor Bedard worth that? Like people were starting to saying, is he overhyped? That was a real conversation that was happening last season around Connor Bedard, and I think he's proving everyone wrong. Him and Macklin Celebrini are making it a very hard decision for Team Canada, like the Team Canada heads, as to like make a really strong argument, I should say, as to, hey, don't leave us off the roster.
Yeah.
For the Olympics, which don't leave them off the roster. But yeah, then you go, on the road and for 3 more games. Some of them are a back-to-back with travel. Nashville, Dallas. Oh boy. But yeah, I'm looking. I'm not saying, like, we can't look at every 5-game chunk of the season as a sink or swim sort of deal. We can't look like, just like we can't look at this homestand as, hey, sink or swim moment. I think you can say a thing, though, of this road trip that the Leafs just came back from was a big road trip for them and was kind of a sink or swim sort of thing because of their record on the road so far, like going into this road trip, it was like 1-6 or whatever it was. Like, embarrassingly, it was like embarrassingly bad. So for them to win as many of the games as they did, and they all be very solid wins, I think it's a pretty good spot. I think we have to now talk about the elephant in the room, and that is potentially Joseph Wool. There has been no updates, and I've been like obsessively checking like Mark Masters like Twitter account for updates. But for those who missed the game last night against Carolina, or maybe didn't even see the Leafs PR tweet, Joseph Wool left the game last night after the second period due to a lower body injury, and the TSN broadcast was talking about it, and they think it's always really like, I can just imagine it's someone's job to be like, okay, figure out where Joseph Wool got hurt. And someone has to go back through all the camera footage and try and figure it out. When it's like, it's always, that's like impressive when someone does it, because it's like you're having to like look at something and don't really know. But Toronto, so Joseph Wool, I should say, with 4 minutes left in the second period, makes a save and gets up and then starts like moving his hip around, like does like, I don't know how to, he starts stretching out his leg. I don't know how else to describe it. It's one of those things where you're like, hey, you don't do that usually.
Yeah, it's like, Diva, what's going on here?
He would not leave the game. Dennis Hildeby would come in relief. And like I think he now has more relief appearances than he does have starts.
Oh, Dennis. That's not
like. I compared him. He's like a little bit of a Louis Barlin kind of guy. Toronto sports crossover. There we go. Absolute powerhouse coming in for relief for the Toronto Maple Leafs there. But yeah, and the nice thing is that Dennis Hildeby, you could make an argument that he's NHL ready, at least in a backup role.
Yeah.
Again, which makes him something you can look at moving. But yeah. Hey, look. They don't have a lot of assets to spend, and if you want to make a move, a way to get a huge player would be like a big name would be a goaltender, because there were a lot of teams in need of a goaltender.
But have they considered that it would make me very sad?
It would make me sad. It would make me sad too. I love Dennis.
Like, Dennis is my little guy. He
is 6'7".
He is 3 apples tall. He fits in my pocket.
But yeah, so like, this is now like the nightmare scenario that we keep like thinking we're gonna get stuck with, which is Dennis Hildeby as our starter, and we have to call up Akanyama as our backup. Not to say that like Akanyama is bad. It's just one of those things where you're like, hey, so this is the fear. There has been no update. Like last night, Craig Berube was like, he's day to day. We will see tomorrow what the update is. It is now 12:30. There's been nothing yet. Day to day. Day to day makes me nervous, because with the Toronto Maple Leafs, day to day means absolute nothing.
Yeah, it could mean genuinely day to day, or we might
It
never see him again.
It could be like Anthony Stollers, who has not skated since November 11th when he got hurt and was at first described as day to day. Like, the thing is, those are not technically wrong. But
No,
also,
it's just
what is wrong with Anthony Stollers? Like, that's the thing too, is like Anthony Stollers has died. Not genuinely, but like
they're replacing him with a clone.
we don't know what's up with Anthony Stollers. We actually don't have a timeline for him at all,
which is
because he has not skated. We can't even be like, oh, it's week to week. Oh, well, we can reevaluate after Christmas or whatever, because he has not skated in almost a month. It is December 5th. He has not skated since the 11th. That is 3 weeks. That will be like 6 days. It will be a month since Anthony Stollers has last skated, which is like one of those things too, where it's like, hey, so we were told it's upper body. When he first got hurt in the game against Boston, we were told it was upper body. You're telling me he can't even like strap the skates on and just just get the legs moving? Like, I'm not expecting him to like do it like full gear and like start, doing drills and making saves and stuff. Just like go out there.
Yeah.
And you're telling me he hasn't even done that? He hasn't even touched the ice in almost a month? What is wrong?
I don't know, but I'm afraid.
I'm afraid too, because it's like,
I'm also afraid for my fantasy team, because everyone's injured.
Well, hey, look at what I decided to do. I had Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck is out. So I was like, hey, guess who I'm going to get to replace Connor Hellebuck temporarily? Because I need another goaltender. I only have 2 because someone has 4. I was like, oh, I'll do Lucas Dostal. That seems like a good idea. Guess who got hurt 2 days later? Lucas Dostal.
I wonder. Also,
so I've been kind of also. I also have I've been kind of a little bit of an absentee GM the past couple of weeks while I've been in Sweden. I just go in on like the Monday and set my lineup for the week. And then I walk away from it. So it took like 3 days of me fully knowing that Connor Hellebuck is going to be out for like 6 to 8 weeks for me to go in and get a new goalie. Hey, look, I think I have the best record though in our league so far.
Yeah,
We're against each other this week, I think. And are you losing badly? I haven't checked. I open ESPN Fantasy once a week, and then
I'm winning.
What? Is this because I only have one goalie?
Probably, but also I have lost the last 7 weeks. I think I won like the first week, and then I've just lost every single week.
Oh wait, no, I went in and then I picked Mackenzie Blackwood. That's right. I remember now. Why is John Carlson day to day? That's rude.
So I'm now just realizing how many guys I have who are injured. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on one of my teams.
Injured?
I need to. Yeah.
Oh boy.
And I wonder why I keep losing. It's because half the team's not playing.
But yeah, so I mean, I do think, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure it's to be expected that Dennis Hildeby will play tomorrow against Montreal. We will see what will happen. We'll see what's up with Joseph Wool, if he can go. Like, it truly did look like a little tweak. Like, he was in the locker room, not on crutches, sitting and standing. We saw him doing both.
He stands.
In like the little video that the Leafs posted after the game with the belt stuff. So like that's a little bit more promising. For sure. So potentially it was a little tweak and he decided, hey, you know what? Instead of potentially making it worse, I'm just gonna pull myself out because you can trust Dennis Hildeby. Like, he goes in and has been playing great, which is promising, but also one of those things where it's like, so like about that. And that's sort of my next conversation is like what the Leafs can do. because the thing is, and the truth of the matter is, they have to still do something. I think like a lot of people are gonna be like, well, I'm like, why are you talking about that after they're like on a win streak right now? They've been winning. It's like, why are you talking about the Leafs having to make a change to their roster? It's like, I do think the Leafs have to do something. We can't just sit here and be like, the Leafs are fine. Yeah, the problem is you have to make trades for roster players. Like you have to, like that's the only option you have. Because you have no picks, you have no prospects that you'd be willing to part with without like absolutely empty. Like the fridge is already empty, but you would be scraping the bottom because you'd be get like guys who would have value. It would be like Ben Danford. Can't do that. Kid's already been traded once this year. You can't Braden Yager this guy. You can't do that to Ben. You can't do that to Ben Danford. But like it'd be Ben Danford, it'd be like guys like Henry Thrawn, William Villeneuve, Easton Cowan, which you're not gonna get rid of Easton Cowan. But like that's the sort of there's nothing there. There's nothing there. You've played those cards in Fraser Minton and Nikita Grabankin. So you have to start looking at what other guys on your roster have value. The thing is, unfortunately, right now, if Anthony Stolarz does come back, the one guy who does have value on your roster, Dennis Hildeby. I know the face you're making, and I know you don't like me suggesting this. I will say though, with Hildeby, that has to be like guaranteed, fills the spot, big name, big deal. I don't want to say we'll fix all your problems, but like we'll have to fix all your problems, especially the role that Dennis Hildeby has played this year and the fact that it has been like kind of proven that like you do need, like in the NHL, it's no longer you need a starting goaltender. It is no longer you need a starting goaltender and a competent backup. You need a good third goaltender. This season in the NHL has shown that you need a guy who is your third goaltender who can go in and still win, maybe not win you games, but put you in the position to win games. Right? If you're really lucky, he will win you games. But you need a guy. The NHL, look at Winnipeg is without Hellebuck, so now they're Eric Comrie and Thomas Milic. Penguins have had to resort to their third. Oh my God, what's his last name? I want to say it's Murgashev. Murashov. There we go. Sergei Murashov in Pittsburgh. I'm trying to think of like other teams that have had to rely on their third goaltender, like Anaheim, Seattle. Like you do need those guys, and there's been more guys last season as well, where it's like you need more. Like that role of being a goaltender has become more and more physically demanding, and guys have not been able to. You very rarely will get a goalie who will go out there and play you 60, 65 games a season. That doesn't really happen as much anymore. Tandems are more popular, but like the amount, I think I don't have the time to do it now, but probably like going through each team's roster and being like, which teams have used more than two goaltenders this year? Because it's probably most of them have used a third goaltender at some point. I know Ottawa has, Toronto has, Buffalo I think is up to 4. So like I think trading Dennis Hildeby would be a mistake for the Toronto Maple Leafs at this point in time. I mean, they're not going to do it this week. They're not even probably going to do it next month. I mean, when you start looking at stuff around the deadline, I don't think that's the time to like think about it. No. I mean, the one conversation you do have to have is about Brandon Carlo, because he's not been worth the price you paid for him, especially with the way that Fraser Minton has been playing in Boston, especially with the way the Leafs have been playing, where potentially that could be a lottery pick. Yes, this pick in this trade is top 5 protected. So like, but like knowing the Leafs luck, it's going to be like the 6th overall pick. So you're giving a 6th overall pick to the Boston Bruins again. because like I love Phil. I remember the Phil cast. Like that pick became Tyler Seguin. That first round pick became Tyler Seguin. Like, but yeah, like he's now hurt. He's experienced another setback, so he actually he was with the team on this road trip. He went back to Toronto halfway through this road trip because he experienced a setback, and the word procedure got thrown around with him, which lengthens your timeline of return, makes me very nervous because you kind of want him to come back, play, a month or so healthy, and you potentially could look at trading him at the deadline, especially with the way Troy Stecher is playing.
Yeah.
There's your right shot, puck moving defenseman, right there, like a Troy Stecher. Like, could you look at getting value out of Brandon Carlo? Another name that you potentially could look at getting value out of at the deadline in a roster for roster trade, Matthias Michelli. I have to always throw Max Domi's name around, Kelly Yarncroke potentially. Nick Robertson's name is always going to get thrown out there in trade discussions about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, that's tale as old as time. We've been hearing about that for years. We've been having that conversation. I feel like every year on this podcast we have that conversation. But it's like in every like four weeks we have to talk about Nick Robertson trade discussions.
God.
But like, if you could potentially turn one of those guys into like a big prospect and pick package, and this is something, again, I was listening to the Steve Dangle podcast on like the plane yesterday. You know whose name because they were talking about like, hey, so where can you start looking? Nashville is one of those places you can start looking. Like Barry Trotz has got to give it up. He's got to give it up. So there are some names that are getting thrown around. You're going to love this. The name they threw around, who I think that option is there because he's a pending UFA, middle six guy. You know what he can do. He can put up, depending on the situation he's thrown in, 40, 50 points. Do you know whose name I'm going to say? A reunion with Michael Bunting. That's a potential. That is actually a real possibility for Toronto. Yes, you are loading Toronto way up on the left side there with him because he can play on the left side, and that's where he was in Toronto prior. But like, you then start having flexibility with your lineup that the Leafs don't really have. It may look like it because of the 7 different line combinations we seem to get every week from them, but you really don't.
Not flexibility, it's desperation. And there is a difference.
Can we put that on a t-shirt?
It's not flexibility, it's desperation. I just walk around with like a little mug with that on it. My time on Canva. She goes crazy. But no, it's like the variety of lines that we've got. I'm just like, offering end.
Yeah. But yeah, but yeah, that because of what Michael Bunting brings you, he is an option on your top line because he's been there. He had some of his best seasons in Toronto there. Now, some of it was a combination of his highest full season shooting percentage of his career was his years in Toronto. Some of it is also that he's just playing with he was playing with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, who have the ability to elevate a lot of players. But Calder nominated Michael Bunting. That is potential. Pending UFA. Nashville could retain on his salary. I think he's somewhere in $4 million. And that's like an option that you can look at there. Another name, potentially, because of the way that off-season contract discussions happen, Luke Evangelista. Also solves problems, and it brings youth into the roster. I know there was connections about Luke Evangelista during the summer between him and Toronto. I think it's natural every time you have a Toronto kid who there's some contract turmoil there. That always is like hey, what if he goes to Toronto? He's from Toronto. Hey, did you know that Brendan Shanahan's his uncle? Like, sorry, I just feel like we hear those like same 3 stats recycled about Luke Evangelista like every time.
Oh.
And I think also because of the way that that contract dispute happened, where it felt like it was a thing where it was just like fine because he's got to play, right? Like, so I think that's potential there. And if you can build a package of roster players for Nashville, it's a possibility. But also Nashville, and it all really also comes down to the fact that like Barry Trotz has to like pull the plug on this roster that he's built, that a lot of us were like, hey, maybe this could be it. Like, this looks like a pretty, like, that was a huge spending season for the Nashville Predators, where they got Marchessault, Stamkos, Brian retained on, like, not retained, but like Ryan O'Reilly, like, right? Like, that was a huge spending period of time for the Nashville Predators. And when that all happened, and when you looked at that roster, you were like, hey, wow, like 2017, this would have been bonkers. This would have been incredible. But here we are now a few years later, and it's not looking as promising. Not a few years later, but like we have to be realistic. A lot of these guys are older, but Barry Trotz has to. It also comes down to the fact that Barry Trotz has been unwilling to give up on the run. Like, it's been like multiple seasons now where it's like, dude, just give it a break. Quit. Give it up.
Like, something's not working here, and I fear it might be you.
Well, yeah, I think I also have a firm opinion that as good of a coach as Barry Trotz has been, I don't think he's a very good GM. But yeah, you got to start making conversations, because the Leafs still do have to do something, and they are looking to do something. So it really is only a matter of time until the Leafs do something. So we have to kind of start throwing those possibilities out there so that it's not a surprise. Right? Because if no one talks about it and no one tries to figure out deals that make sense and that would work and that are realistic, then when it does happen, we're all going to be shocked of like, oh my God, what do you mean you traded this roster player? Right? Which, you know, because I mean, sometimes it happens where it's the guys you don't expect. I mean, I don't like, but that happens. But yeah, Leafs play tomorrow against Montreal, hockey night in Canada, Saturday night, big night. But yeah, some other news outside of, I guess we can talk about Heated Rivalry.
Yay!
Because it's the first episode we're recording since Heated Rivalry has come out on Crave. It is Crave's show. I'm sorry, I have so many gripes.
The floor is yours.
I have so many gripes, specifically about the fact that, like, people are, like, specifically American publications are like, HBO's hottest show. And I get it. Not every American reader is going to know what Crave is not going to be familiar with Crave. But, like, I will say,
also,
HBO hadn't...
I knew what Crave was.
Yeah, because you're friends with me.
Yeah, but, like...
And I love Crave.
Yeah, I know, but like,
yeah, I
know. We know. I was aware of Crave's existence.
Yeah.
And
and also as well, Google is free. I'm sorry. This inane sense of the fact of like like articles get written as if you're assuming that your reader doesn't know how to Google search something bugs me. Because, like, someone doesn't know what...
If someone's reading something, then chances are...
Yeah, if someone's reading an online article, chances are they have access to the internet to research something they don't really know what is.
Yeah.
Also, context clues. It's like, if you go, like, Crave's newest show, Heated Rivalry, they're going to assume that it's a streaming service of some kind.
Yeah.
I will say, like, it's not... I think... calling it like, if you go, hey, this new show is streaming on HBO Max in the US, fair. But if you go HBO's, you're giving possession to a show that HBO has no possession over, because it is not a show that HBO literally only is the American distribution provider, which I am not calling The Office Netflix's The Office because I can go onto Netflix and watch The Office. That's not how this works. You don't do that. So like by calling it HBO's, I'm like, do you like? I think it's also then giving people a sense of like, hey, so this is like a show that was made with an American audience in mind. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my gripe. I have a gripe. I have so many gripes about it. I think so many things about Heated Rivalry. Like HBO, whatever. I mean, I did see that HBO like made the visuals like darker,
So much darker.
which like I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
God forbid people want to see what they're watching.
Yeah.
And like then the captions were like messed up for some of the Russian parts in episode 2. Like it was one of those things where I'm like, why are you touching any? Like would you not just like, if you as a distributor for a show you did not make, get the show, would you not just like put it on your platform unchanged? Like what's the point?
You'd think.
But I will say also as well as like a lot of Americans are complaining about the lack of promotion that Heated Rivalry is. Like, I didn't hear about this show. Trust, as a Canadian, I've heard about this show for a very long time. I mean, we've also been following the production process of this show since it was first announced that it was even going to get picked up for an adaptation. Since the book, I should say, that it is based off of was going to get picked up for an adaptation. But there has been a lot of promotion here in Canada for Heated Rivalry. There's been regular commercials. Like, if you watch cable, there will be a commercial for Heated Rivalry, which I was awaiting until, like, my parents would ask me about, be like, Emma, what show is this? They never did, thank God. But, like, there would be, like, it would be in, like, in the bottom thirds for, like, during... And like a lot of people can be like, wow, they're promoting Heated Rivalry during an NHL game. Wow, this is nuts. Guys, it's all owned by the same parent company. Like what you have to know is that Canadian media is 2 telecommunication companies and the government in a trench coat. Like that is Canadian media.
Yeah.
So like Bell owns TSN, which owns the rights to NHL broadcast. Bell also owns Crave, which is the streaming service that produced and is streaming Heated Rivalry. So the cross promotion, like you probably could also watch CTV is another Bell channel. It's like cable show. It's like where you can watch like Grey's Anatomy. They also, like if you tuned into CTV, you probably also got advertising for Heated Rivalry, because what Bell will do, and they're very good at doing it, is that they will cross promote shows like onto their other networks that they own.
Which makes sense.
Which I don't know why that doesn't make sense to people as to why that happens. Like people are like, oh my God, I can't believe they're like, you know, promoting the gay hockey show on the hockey game. It's like, yeah, because Bell owns everything. Like Bell owns TSN. So of course Bell is going to want to promote their programming on all of their other channels. They do it with Canada's Drag Race.
Brilliant.
Because that also streams every week on Crave. So like, doesn't mean we're gonna like get like, I don't know. That would be a really fun conversation, is like which person in the NHL. I know Sarah Nurse has been on Drag Race, Canada's Drag Race, as a judge, but like which person, like it doesn't have to be a player, because like why do I think like John Cooper would do a really great job as a judge on Drag Race?
Yeah.
Canada's Drag Race, you get John Cooper in there. Make it happen. Make it happen, Belle. But
make it happen.
About the actual like plot of Heated Rivalry, instead of me just complaining about Americans not understanding the Canadian media landscape, because that's been my biggest issue. Is like, this was a show that was made and went through its entire production without the American media market in mind at all. Like,
Mm.
wow, shocker. Not everything is about you, American consumer.
Whoa. No way.
Crazy that things get produced without you in mind. So, like, I don't know, there was just some things where I'm like, this is a very Canadian show. It does a very good job at understanding Canadian hockey culture for that would be accurate to the mid 2010s. There were like little parts where I'm like, oh wow. I think one of the parts that stood out to me that people keep talking about is like when like Shane takes his shoes off. I'm like, yeah.
Which that still baffles me how people can go into their house and
And
not take
not
their
take
shoes
their
off.
shoes off. Like
Like,
I don't keep many. Like also it's another thing too where it's like, so like where do you just keep your shoes in your bedroom? Which like, yes, okay, I do have shoes like in my closet, but it's like my heels I maybe will wear once a year.
yeah,
Maybe.
maybe. It's like
Like
you
it's
just.
my heels that I've only worn twice.
Mm. Oh, I have a pair of heels I've only worn twice.
Right? Like those are the shoes that I keep in my bedroom.
Yeah. It's like not the ones that you wear every day.
My bloodstones are never coming into my bedroom. Thank you very much.
It's like my work boots. They are. You can't tell what color they are because they're just caked in mud that is never coming off. They live in a carrier bag in the boot of my car. They're not coming anywhere near just the indoors.
Yeah, and I will say also as well, it's a show filmed in Toronto. I recognize so many of the filming locations, even with episode 3, where they're like, "This is New York." I'm like, "No, it's not." I was like, "No, that's not New York City. That is Toronto, Ontario." Good try though. But the show, I mean, weekly episodes I much appreciate. I think it would have been, I don't want to say unsatisfying, but like I think this is something that Heated Rivalry gets kept in the public dialogue of pop culture for much longer with weekly releases. People have time to sit there, digest every episode, watch it, like discuss it among their friends. For us, for like a show, right? Like we get to sit here every week then and talk about an episode. It's really satisfying. But like that is why I really like the weekly that is really why I really like the weekly episodes is because it I think if we had gotten all 6 episodes thrown at us at once, it would have felt very lackluster.
Yeah.
Not because the show is lackluster. The show is not lackluster. I just think like people would have plowed through all 6 episodes in a day, and then for as much
Then
lead
what?
up as and then what? And for as much lead up as the show has had in terms of people getting excited about the trailer and then all the discussion that came from it and the continued conversation about the show that was being had, to then sit there and be like, oh, this is, you know, gone through the public dialogue, I guess, or the, you know, public sphere of relevancy in a weekend.
But it's like,
does the show a disservice where like every week now there's conversations and we also get to sit on the show and talk about an episode every week.
Exactly. And so I am a weekly release truther.
I
think
love
that
it.
everything should be released weekly.
Like there's a reason that format works. There's a reason that format works so well with cable television. Like there's a reason why cable television was as dominant as it was for such a long time. Is because every week you tune in and you watch it, and then you can go to school or work for the next week and talk about this episode that you just watched.
It's like when Bake Off's on, me and my flatmate, every week we had a little tradition. We'd get pizza, we'd get tiramisu, we'd come back, we'd watch it, we'd eat.
Well, it's the same thing. Like it's like
yeah, and it's being able to do that is just so much better than being like, oh my god, I binged the entire show in 5 seconds.
And it's like this,
like,
it's, I don't, it almost, and I don't want to compare the two, but like, do you know when you like binge watch a show that's like, this is maybe not the best comparison in the world to make, but like, you know, when you binge watch a show in like the span of like, it's like 8 episodes or something. So you do it in like a day, and then you have the same feeling as like when you like do a massive McDonald's order and you eat way too much. Maybe this is maybe not the best comparison I should be making, but like, and you just are left with that feeling of feeling like sick.
yeah.
That's what it's like. And I think doing that to the show does it a disservice. I think it's not the right way to do it. I think it works really well in this weekly format for sure, especially with a show that is able to have so much public discussion around it. Like there is space for that, which is really great, which always, you know, tends to come from adaptations anyways, is there's always this like this big discussion around it and a lot of room and space for things to get discussed. About the actual plot and stuff, holy crap, was there a lot of bare ass.
So much ass.
So much. And they didn't even like put it like, you know, work up to it slowly. It was like,
it was like immediate, just
in your face.
It's like, that's an ass. It's a very nice ass.
I will say, all the asses in the show, spectacular.
Wonderful, incredible.
Brilliant. I can't believe this is like
no notes, no complaints.
The fact that like because there's so much bare ass in this show, we have to talk about the bare ass in this show. We can comment on the quality of said ass in said show. Incredible. 10 out of 10. I will say, like, also so far, I really like it. I mean, also as well, we're now going to get into the spoiler parts of it because we're going to discuss the show. And I want to say that, I mean, you've watched episode 3, I'm assuming. I really hope before I start talking about episode 3. Okay.
No, I
should have like cleared this before we started recording.
I like giggled and kicked my feet the entire episode.
I couldn't stop smiling.
I was like, oh.
I really like that. So first of all, with episode 1 and 2 was great. I liked what they chose to include, things that got changed, whatever. Like, but I think it's like there are certain parts of episode 1 and 2 like that I'm like, you guys, and some of this comes from like the fact that we are hockey fans. We have an understanding of hockey culture a little bit deeper maybe than some, even just people who are fans of the books may understand. But even people who are casual viewers who are maybe just tuning in because they've seen it, they saw that like Cosmo was writing articles about it. But I will say, like, just discussing it, like there are certain parts of the show where I was like, hey, so like people had a lot of complaints about like a lot of like the casual homophobia and the fact that then like this means that like Shane's mom's a terrible person and this guy's a terrible person and they're all terrible people because it's casual. I'm like, you guys don't understand that like within hockey culture at the time, and I think it even spread into other aspects of culture at the time in the early to mid 2000s, that was just the way that it was. That was just the way that things got discussed, is there was this layer of casual homophobia over everything because that was just how it worked. And for Canadians or people who are very familiar, I don't want to specify just Canadians, but for people who are very familiar with hockey culture at the time, or at least grew up in that environment, it helps with the world building quite a bit. Like I think Jacob Tierney, because of the work that he's done on Letterkenny and Shoresy, is someone who very deeply understands hockey culture, at least within Canada, which is where most of this show takes place anyways. A little bit in Boston, but primarily aimed at a Canadian audience, for largely about Canadian hockey culture, as like most of this book ends up taking place in Canada, or like most of Heated Rivalry, I should say, takes place in Canada, but like also the long game takes place, like, you know what I mean? Like it takes place in North America, but like it's a conversation about Canadian hockey culture for sure. And I think he deeply understands it, and it shows in the script and it shows in a lot of the decisions that were made. Yes, a lot of the book kind of in the source material lays a lot of that groundwork of like things to build off of, but like there was additional things that I just think Jacob Tierney did a great job with. I think, you know, there are some parts where you have to little suspend your disbelief. A lot of people were like, hey, there's not a lot of hockey in this. And it's like, yeah, read the books. There wasn't a lot of hockey in those either.
There was not much hockey. And
I think also as well, when you're doing a show where you aren't casting hockey players as like the actors, it takes a lot of work to make hockey scenes believable without like a heck of a lot of work. And so I just think it was fine. I think the amount of hockey, fair, because like, I'm gonna say this, if I wanted to watch a bunch of hockey, I would go tune into an NHL game.
Yeah. Also, I think everyone's like, oh, well, it's a hockey show, where's all the hockey? And I'm like, yes, it's a hockey show, but that encompasses all parts of hockey.
And it's
not
like
just like the actual game. It's like it's a hockey show because it revolves around, like, you cannot remove the hockey from it, because if you do, it's just a bunch of
the plot no longer makes sense.
Yeah, you can't separate them. It is very much a hockey show, because it's not how you expect it to be.
I think the real way to frame it is like, it's not a hockey show, it's a show about hockey players.
Yeah.
Because I think that makes it a thing where it's like, hey, they play hockey. Like they play actual games like 82 times a year, but like for like what, 2-3 hours 82 times a year. That's assuming that the fictional NHL has the same number of regular season games as the real.
Yeah, what the logistics of this fake NHL?
The fake NHL, the MHL. Yes, big fan of the MHL over here, and the check note. What is the name of the teams? I just call them the fake Boston Bruins and the fake Montreal Canadiens and the fake New York Rangers.
I didn't even call them the fake ones. They are the teams in my mind.
But like I don't
it's the Bruins.
Sorry, the Montreal Metro. Sorry. So I understand you had to, like, they had to be changed from what they were in the books so that like you didn't get sued by Gary Bettman.
Yeah.
That's one way to make him aware of Heated Rivalry.
Someone rocks up and goes, so Gary,
I
don't know if you've seen this new show. You might want to give it a watch.
You do know that like there are 32 NHL GMs and many league officials who had to get like media briefed on this. Like, for those who don't know how like communications work, is that there like every week there will be media briefs where it's not like, hey, these are questions you can expect from the media. It's literally just like, hey, this is what's being discussed in the media, on social media now. Like now on social media, it didn't used to be that way, but like in the media and on social media by fans and reporters and stuff. Here's what's being discussed. Here are some articles that are, you know, being very popular right now. Here are some tweets that did really well that is relevant to your team or whatever. And that gets sent around within organizations. Heated Rivalry was on many of these, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But which is always really funny. I mean, I think the show was beautifully shot. Like, it was really well done. Actual plot line, it's like one of those things too where it's like the changes that they made to the plot about like certain things, whatever. I mean, I maybe am like the worst person to like judge an adaptation, because like as long as it makes sense and I'm like, this is recognizable to the book.
No, that's the thing. I feel like you're never gonna get an adaptation that's 100% faithful to the source material. It's just not possible. And the things that are changed are done to make it work better.
I'm done in a way also where like, because of the difference in both forms of media, novels and books, depending on the point of view that they're written in, but it's like a weird pseudo third person where it's all being told in third person, but you get an insight into the characters thoughts and feelings and how their brain works and things like that. It's like a weird pseudo third person type deal. That's how novels tend to be written. It is very hard to then take those internal thoughts and feelings and then put it into a film or a television show and not have it be like someone voicing over everything.
Yeah, that's
because you are no longer, being put into the place of the character. You are now in as you are in a book, or as you tend to be in a book. You're now an observer of a scene, right? So you now have to try and infer a lot of things. Facial expressions are important, but like little details, lines get added, things get changed, so that it just makes so that like the same internal thoughts and feelings that characters think in a book are then now prevalent and visible on screen. They do it in certain points, and I think it's great. Some of that is just like a conversation that takes place that kind of then maybe sometimes lays things out, but there's still room. And I think the way that Heated Rivalry does it is very well in terms of like leaving room for the audience to infer things. So it was really well done. I will say with episode 3, because I think that's kind of been the main discussion that I've seen a lot of right now, is I love that it was a bottle episode. I also am a fan, like that we got Scott and Kip and that it was as a bottle episode. I am also a big fan of bottle episodes in television shows. Like it is some of my favorite sitcom episodes of all time are bottle episodes.
Yeah.
Because they're character studies. If they're done really well in a sitcom, it's a really great character study. Like just go watch like Friends bottle episodes, or the Community does great bottle episodes where it's great character studies. But like this is a bottle episode in a different place where it takes the focus away from Shane and Elia and puts it onto Scott and Kip. And I think it provides us with background information that makes the end of Heated Rivalry and kind of how monumental Scott and Kip's kiss that we get outlined to us in a full novel. Like we get that whole relationship. Episode 3 is essentially just all of the best parts of Game Changers, which is the first novel in this series, picked out and put into 44 minutes. Which is great.
And it was done so well, and I loved it so much, and I'm gonna like just be thinking about it.
Because it's also a thing too, where it's like readers of the series, or at least of Heated Rivalry, like see that kiss between Scott and Kip when New York wins the Stanley Cup. Spoiler, but we said there were going to be spoilers. Like we're going to assume if you're listening this far, you've read all the books and you're familiar with the plot. If we didn't see this 45 minutes, this episode of these two characters and like showing how their relationship works and showing how that came through and like the background of these two characters, that kiss wouldn't make a lot of sense.
No, and it wouldn't have the impact.
It wouldn't have the same impact. You wouldn't see what it means for the characters. You wouldn't see like, hey, you wouldn't have a deep understanding of just how closeted Scott Hunter was as a character. Right? You wouldn't see that growth. You wouldn't know what it means as much, and it wouldn't be that impactful as it is going to be impactful for Hollander and Rosenoff later in the show, as it is later in the book for them and their relationship. So, and also as well, like, because like Game Changer was the first book of the series, and like Heated Rivalry was what, book 2? People who have read, like, when you read, like, if you read the books as they were meant to be read in the order that they were meant to be read in, you would have had the background information of what was in Game Changer before you read Heated Rivalry anyways. So like by getting all that information all at once, I think it also, by putting it all in one episode instead of like cutting back to it when relevant, makes everything feel more succinct and makes the plot lines feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like it just, I don't like, if we were like whatever watching like Shane and Elia do whatever, like, or even in the first 2 episodes or later on, and then we have to like cut to New York City. Like, it just would have felt really broken up. Whereas, like, putting it all in one episode gives the audience everything they need. You know, it also shows more insight into Ilya's character. It shows more insight into Shane's character as a third, like, as an outsider to their relationship. Who, like, doesn't know anything. Not even just, like, outsider is someone who knows. Outsider is someone who does not know anything.
Yeah.
Then really well done. I will love, like, Kip's friends, love them as characters. I think they're really fun. I will also say my favorite bit is someone was like, so there's a scene where like Shane like chirps Scott, and Scott is like, oh, you're starting to sound like him. And then someone has taken the part where they're yelling at each other and like has been like, oh, this is what, like, based on like mouth reading, this is what Shane is saying. And it's like, you pussy, go home. You're fucking 45 years old.
It's when I saw that, I cackled. I was like, oh. Oh my days. I can't.
Specifically, the "you are 45 years old" line killed me. Because, like, Scott Hunter, like, canonically, is maybe only 3-4 years older than like, Shane is. Like, it's not like we're talking about, like, Eric Bennett here.
It's like, he's not 45.
He's not, like, you old man. Like,
the peepification
of Scott. I will say, though, nothing more has reminded me that Game Changer originally was a Stucky fic, like watching the third episode and going, why the fuck is Scott Hunter running like goddamn Captain America? There was something about the running that I was like, this looks so stilted. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, he's supposed to be running like Chris Evans. Ooh, like, there was like I think it was an old Tumblr post or something that like mapped out like the head movement of like Chris Evans compared to like everyone else running, and his head like stays perfectly, like does not move, right? But it was like, there's something about this running where I'm like, maybe it was just, it felt too slow. I don't know, something about the running. I was like, I can't take this running seriously. I hope we don't see him running anymore. At the start of the episode though, because like that was like what you opened with. I was like,
yeah,
something about him, like the way he was running, I was like, I don't know what's going on here. But also, my favorite character, I think, of the show so far, Kip's dad.
Yeah, I love Kip's dad.
We have an emotional support dad in the show. Yeah!
He's just so fucking funny. And I just love him.
I love him so bad. I will say they like a little bit weird though is what they did is they like erased Kip's mom and like gave Scott both his parents.
It's like,
because like if you read Game Changer, and I know because I read Game Changer on the flight home yesterday.
As you should.
In the lead up, I knew what this week's episode was going to be about. Yeah. I read it. They only ever mention his mom in the book. Like, they only ever mention Scott's mom, and they mention that he died at 15. So I don't know where this, like, I was 12 years old and both my parents died in a car crash came from.
Like, whoa, okay, Little Miss Trauma Dump. It's the Trauma Olympics over here.
It's like, you know, in like Trolls, singing killed my grandma. I shouldn't be laughing about that, but like that speech was also just like really weird. I don't like that gala. The only part that I do have complaints about, that gala felt very strange, because in the book, it's a gala for the company that Kip's friend Elena works for, which is like some tech firm, like some fintech firm or something, right? And so, like, why is Scott Hunter giving a speech at this? And now they've turned it into, like, a charity gala for, like, a scholarship fund for hockey players. I was like, so then why? Like, I don't know. It felt very strange. I was like, why is he giving a speech? I don't know what this speech is supposed to tell us. Maybe I'm media literate and I actually don't know. Maybe there is like a reason someone's gonna be like, well, actually, it was supposed to mean this and it gave us this information. Where I'm like, I don't know what the point. It just felt like a very awkward speech. And then they're clapping at the end. I was like, there is not that many people in that shot for the clapping to be that loud, right? Yeah, at most you could see maybe like 10 people there. And it looked like everyone was like, I don't know. It was just one of those things where I was like, that just felt very weird. That whole gala scene, I felt like, I was like, there definitely probably was more to it that had to get cut for time. But like, I don't know, something about that. That was the only part of the episode where I was like, why are we here?
Yeah, like, what's happening here? What's going on?
Yeah. But yes, next up, I don't even know what next episode is called.
No.
Heated Rivalry Crave. Can you not give me like the episode list? Episodes. Thank you. Episode titles. Oh wait, no, the next episode we get to meet Rose Landry.
I'm so excited.
So that'll be fun. Yeah, that'll be really exciting. So looking forward to that. So yeah, we'll have more to talk about. If you guys like want to send us stuff to talk about when it comes to Heated Rivalry, like sending questions, I might put out like a questions call of things you guys want us to discuss. Send them in. Send us things to talk about with this show, because like we want to talk about it and we could probably do a whole episode talking about this show, but like we do also kind of maybe need a little bit guidance about what you guys want us to talk about and how like what our reactions are and stuff. Some other NHL news, I should say, about the Olympics. It has come out that the Olympic ice surface is going to be smaller than NHL standard, instead of where I was like, hey, so it's going to be like an international ice surface. No, it's not. The IIHF hates me, and the IOC wants to embarrass me. And it's going to be an Olympic ice surface that is smaller than NHL standards by 3 to 4 feet. People are like, hey, so like why? How could this happen? That is because the IIHF built the rink, or gave the specifications for the rink, in meters. And they were like, the rink should be 28 meters by 60 meters. Well, when you convert 60 meters, which is a nice round number, into feet, it gives you like some like 96.85 feet or something, which is not that's not 200 feet. So obviously that's where it's like, okay, all right, because you're also not going to be like, make the rink to be like 62.1 feet or whatever, 62.1 meters or whatever, like whatever it is to get exactly 200 feet. And also because it's the IIHF, they never do anything in feet. It's always in meters because metric. So, okay, whatever. But I also will say as well, not that big of a deal. Like, who cares if the ice surface at the Olympics is going to be smaller? That's not going to be an issue if the arena isn't finished.
Yeah, it's like, like you can have a party about the size of the ice. It's not going to be that. There will be no ice.
If the arena's not done, now I can't remember who said it, but someone has come out and said, hey, look, like, I think it was Gary Bettman, was like, or it was someone else with the NHL or something, but it was like, if the rink isn't done, NHLers aren't going. Like, it's not like, hey, we'll just have it like somewhere else instead. We'll have it where they had hockey for the Olympics in Turin. We'll, I don't know, go to Sweden. We'll go to, I don't know, Switzerland. Like, we'll go somewhere else. That's not it. It is, they are playing in that arena, but it has to be finished and there has to be a test event. And usually test events happen like a year before. And it's not so much test events for the safety of the ice surface. It's also like, hey, so like, what's going to be the protocol for like getting the Zambonis out on the ice? What's going to be the protocol during TV timeouts for ice scraping? What's it going to, like, have you built enough concession stands? Is there enough washrooms? Right?
Like the logistics wise.
Yeah, it's more than just like, hey, is the ice surface safe? Are the boards safe? Is the glass safe? Whatever. No, it's like, hey, so like, can you effectively get people inside this building? Did you build enough doors to get people inside the building?
Which quite important. Quite important.
That's why you have test events, right? Like, it's kind of the thing. What happens when you build a brand new arena is that all these things have to get tested out. It's like one of those things where it's like, I think also people, there's so much focus on like, hey, so like NHL players, like what is this going to mean for like the NHL at the Olympics, blah, blah, blah. Where like no one's realizing, hey, so like if this doesn't get done, what does this also mean for the women's side of the hockey as well? Like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's all this concern and focus on like NHL players. Oh my God, the NHL.
What about the women?
What about the women?
What about the women?
Yeah, like, because yeah, there's two. Hold on, it's there because there's two venues for the Olympics. As a tournament of this size, you see the same thing happen with World Juniors now as well. But with a tournament of this magnitude, there is always two venues. So it is the primary venue that is not yet done. The Santa Gulia. I don't know why. Could they have not named it something that I can actually pronounce? The Santa Gulia Ice Hockey Arena, which is the primary venue for both the men and the women's events, is not finished. That is what the big concern about. And there's all this concern about the men's event, but no one is talking about the fact of like, hey, so like, what happens if the arena doesn't get done for the women's tournament? Will they play somewhere else? Like, no one has asked the international federation, because you would have to go to the international federations. The PWHL, I think, like they have a break. I actually like no one has gone even to the PWHL. I guess the PWHL has never really had this issue of like not allowing players to go.
Yeah.
But like no one has gone to either. Well, because the PWHL also usually has an international break anyways during their season for World Championships. Usually it is, but like no one's gone to the PWHL. No one's gone to the gone to the like national federations for each country and been like, hey, so like, I know there's all this talk about the men's side of like the NHL not going if the arena's not done. What about the women's side? What about the women's side of this tournament? Will they, if this arena is not finished or is not up to snuff, will like for the NHL to pull out, like the NHL pulls out, what does this mean for the women's side as well? Another conversation to be had as well. If the NHL does pull out,
what happens?
What happens? Specifically, because of all of the like laborious drug testing and anti-doping protocols that must be followed for the Olympics, because all of the guys who are in conversation about getting on the roster actually have to follow like the anti-doping like rules of like submitting where they will be sleeping every night.
Yeah.
Which is it's a really fascinating process. Like they have to log into a portal and be like, this is where you can find me. This night, like every single night of the year, like every single night. For athletes like outside of like hockey really, but like for like athletes like in swimming and track and like skiing, like the anti-doping, literally they have to go into this portal every single day, which is nuts to me. I think that's absolutely crazy. And I say this as someone who sleeps in the same place like, unless I'm traveling, I'm not sleeping anywhere else.
No.
Like, it's not like I'd be hard to, but like, you have to be like, at 6 a.m., I will be here. You can find me here. In case you need to you know, in case I need to go in for like anti-doping testing or whatever. But like, you have to do that. That's a process that needs to be followed. So like, if the NHL pulls out, you then have to start like making like what, like it would be college guys, AHL guys,
Yeah.
juniors guys. Like Mason McTavish was the only guy last Olympics that had no NHLers go in 2022. Was the only guy from like the CHL who went to the Olympics, I believe. He was there. But it is just, you know, something to think about. It'll be a lot of guys, like, think about like, oh, who will it be? It will be a lot of names you don't know is what I will say about like, if the NHL doesn't go to the Olympics, it'll be a lot of names you don't recognize on those rosters. Be a lot of guys in Euro leagues. It'll be a lot of AHL guys. Some college guys, sure. Like, I do think that 2022 had more recognizable names than 2018 did. But also, like, you have to think about all the work that's gone into selecting a roster. Apparently, Team Canada is having 3 days worth of meetings to select their roster this coming weekend, over the weekend. So, but they both Team Canada and USA and a lot of the other rosters won't get announced till like the new year, till New Year's Eve, New Year Day. You know, thanks. Appreciate that. Really appreciate that they are doing that in the middle of the World Juniors.
Yeah.
Thank you. Really, you know, giving me a whole lot of work to do as I'm continue, like, you know, writing about Team Canada at the World Juniors again. And cool. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it. But yeah, it's a lot of conversation that'll be left to have. Like, you are setting your process back at 0 then. If it's like Christmas or even earlier, and it's like, so like NHL isn't going.
Yeah, it's in like, well, shit.
Well, shit. Yeah.
To sum it up.
Well, shit. Yeah. I will say though, like, I know a lot of people are having a lot of panic about the fact that the arena's not done, and I know we sound a little bit panicked. I think a lot of people also have to keep in mind in the back of their head, and it's something that I'm doing, is like the Olympics, like how do I talk about this? But like, they're always over budget and behind schedule. That is the Olympics. Like, that should be their slogan instead of like the higher, stronger, faster one. It should just be over budget and behind schedule. Because everything is over budget and behind schedule. Every single Olympics, there is some thing that is last minute that people are stressed about. Some venue isn't ready. Village isn't ready. Like, whatever it may be. And it always works out.
Yeah.
Some, like, now there has been like things that you can tell, hey, so they're like making sure they don't have the same thing with Beijing where they were looking into the logistics of shipping snow in for the Alpine events. By having, like, you can look where the next few Winter Olympics are. It's like the French Alps and like Utah. And you're like, wow, they really don't want to have to worry about snow.
No.
But yeah, so that is the Olympics discussion. I mean, there's a bunch of jerseys that have come out. Some of them are better than others. I don't know. I saw France's, the elbow numbers, very strange. I saw Denmark's, I was still a little bit like, okay, those are jerseys. Sorry, like sometimes some of them are like, oh, those are like jerseys. USA did their jerseys and they were like classic USA based off the 1960 jerseys, which is the first time the U.S. won a gold medal in the Olympics in ice hockey. So, I don't know. I thought they were fine. People were complaining about, like, one thing I will say is people were complaining about the fact that the stripes don't go all the way around the arms and stuff. What I will say now is, like, seeing more and more of these jerseys come out, that is a Nike thing. That's not a federation thing. That is a Nike thing. That must just have to do with the construction of the jersey. Like, it's really hard to do that all the way around, especially under the arm where you start getting into, like, shoulder seams, armpit seams. Have you ever tried sewing a sleeve onto a shirt?
No.
It's difficult. The construction.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, the construction of those things, especially in a performance garment, is difficult. So I don't know. I saw people, like, my thing is, like, if it was only on the front, but, like, it's the fact that it's, like, under here where it's like it doesn't connect. I think that was one of the complaints I saw about the USA jersey specifically. I was like, you guys just want to find something to nitpick at, because unfortunately they're gorgeous jerseys and they also match the rest of Team USA's like. My thing with Team Canada and my biggest gripe with it is that, like, it looks like the performance, like the actual, like, uniforms that the athletes compete in, not necessarily like the uniforms that, like, the Lululemon stuff, no, but like the uniforms that each sport competes in, they always look like they're never talking to each other. That all of the, like, governing bodies for, like, Alpine Canada is not talking to Curling Canada of, like, hey, so what are you wearing? None of them are texting, yo, what you wearing tonight?
Fit check.
Hey, I'll wear a dress to school tomorrow if you wear a dress to school tomorrow. Did you ever do that?
We had uniforms. Like, I'll wear my school uniform tomorrow if you wear your school uniform with everyone else.
I'm sorry, I forgot that you guys probably had that most British schools had uniforms. I did not have uniforms because of my public Canadian education. So, but yeah, like, they don't talk to each other. We're like the USA, like, the hockey jerseys match the race suits for alpine skiing, which match the jackets for curling, which match, like, the suits for speed skate. Like, they match. I love that. Yeah. I love when they talk to each other. I need Team Canada to do that more, please. please. But yeah, some other news as well. Tyler Seguin suffered an ACL injury, along with Kyle Palmieri. Unfortunate. That will end their seasons, which sucks for Dallas because they just got Jamie Benn back from his punctured lung, and Tyler Seguin missed a lot of time last season as well due to injury. So sucks for the two of them. Also, as well, like, Dallas Stars were planning on having an 1,000th game ceremony for Seguin, like, soon, like in the next week, which sucks.
So sucks.
Some other news as well. The Montreal Canadiens and the Winnipeg Jets will play in a Heritage Classic next season at the Princess Auto Stadium, which is the home of the CFL Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Did not know that was the name of that stadium. Princess Auto Stadium sounds juvenile. I'm sorry. I am familiar with Princess Auto. It's like an oil change company, like a Mr. Lube. Here in Canada, at least there's locations, at least now. I thought there was just locations in Ontario, but I've come to learn that there is at least some locations in Winnipeg, at least, because they have the naming rights to the CFL stadium there. But 32,000 seats. I think it's great. We're doing Heritage Classics. I know winter hot, like, meant to grow, blah blah blah, but I am always, like, a little bit upset that, like, they're not having more Canadian teams have outdoor games. But yes, very excited for a Heritage Classic. I think that's going to be really fun. I will say, though, seems like an odd matchup only because, like, usually you tend to go, like, rivalries for outdoor games, especially when it's, like, a Canadian team, and, like, you tend, and I just, I don't really know if Montreal and Winnipeg is that much of a rivalry unless you're like trying to be like, so like we're gonna make Patrick Laine's life miserable, except like Patrick Laine is a UFA at the end of this year, so who knows if he's sticking around in Montreal.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think those jerseys are gonna look sick. Montreal, Winnipeg Heritage Classics.
It's gonna be good.
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh yeah.
Also, as well, there's quite a few World Junior rosters that are starting to get released this week. Canada's will be on Monday, but we will not be discussing any of them here on this show because we will be doing our annual World Juniors preliminary show that we do. It'll be our third one.
Oh.
It'll be our
so
third
excited.
one, but if you guys are a newer listener to the show, every year we record, like, it's usually one of our longer episodes of the year because we go through every single World Juniors roster, and we each year are saying we'll break it up and we'll do it in different sittings. Do we ever break it up and do it in different sittings? No, it's always one recording session. By the time we get to like the last couple rosters, we start to hit a little bit of a delirium. So like apologies for like Slovakia. And who else do we usually have at the end? Latvia. We start to hit like a level of insanity, especially because it's like we don't have much to say about those teams as well.
Yeah.
I think Kazakhstan was one of the last teams that we did as well.
Yeah.
And it was like we were sitting there being like, so this is a team. One of their goalies is a center prospect.
And we're like, yay!
Yeah, but yeah, the start of the World Junior. Yeah, so that episode always comes out on Christmas Day for us because then the World Juniors start on Boxing Day. So that'll be it. So we won't actually really discuss a lot about the World Juniors on this show because we might discuss some things, but like we won't go into depth to any of the rosters because we do our own separate standalone bonus episode for you guys to listen to on Christmas Day when you need like 2 hours of reprieve from your family. But yeah, with that being said, I think that's everything. I would say we would see you. I'm realizing we're recording this on a Friday. The show's going to go up probably either today or Saturday, but say we'd see you guys on Monday or we will see you in our next episode. I'm off to BC. Maybe we'll record an episode while I'm in BC. Maybe not.
I'm also just very, very busy.
We will have an episode though, at least we'll have a couple more before Christmas, but like I know guaranteed our next episode will be the 15th.
Yes. Because
I'll be back from BC at that point. But yeah, so we'll see. I have no idea if I'm gonna have time to record episodes. What is that face? Where are you going?
I'm at an archaeology conference.
The 14th too?
Yeah, I'm gonna be gone like the Sunday to the Thursday, basically.
You didn't tell me that. We're gonna have this discussion off air. But yeah, episodes this month will come when they come. Turns out, like, for people who don't usually travel a whole lot, this is like the 6 weeks where we have a combined, like,
everything
combined, like 28 days out of town or something. Now that I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
How did we do this?
I don't know.
We never go anywhere. Like, we never travel.
No. Although at least we're all traveling at similar time.
Yeah, but none of it overlaps.
No.
But with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back in the next episode, I guess I should probably say. When that will be, who knows? That's why you should follow us on Twitter.
Yes.
At From the Fourth Line, fourth with the number 4th, so you never miss when we release a new episode because it'll be a little bit off schedule. Also, in the meantime, make sure to follow the two of us on Twitter because we're hilarious and have opinions.
Yeah, we do.
Just because we're not recording episodes doesn't mean the opinions stop. At 60 Listrella, at Pair B1 for myself. in the meantime, go Leafs go.
Go Leafs go.
Go Leafs go.
Go Leafs
They're
go.
winning. We can say go Leafs go with our
Yeah,
chest.
Go Leafs go.
Go Leafs go.